Ding. Good morning.
Good
Let's
morning.
morning. Oh man, well, tab got in the way. Oh, I can move. Okay, there we go. All right. Well, crew is here. How y'all feeling? Good?
Yeah, feeling good.
Good. All right. Any questions since Wednesday? You good? Okay. We'll go over the what you call it real quick. I did put in the chat in the Slack what my current index.js, server.js looks like, both of those, and the plan for what we're going to do today. So we'll look at that here in a minute. But first, let's go to week 3. Let's look at the debug here real quick. All right. Dun, dun, dun. So this is for fetch cores. So you have two different uh, ports. So remember, that's what cores gets mad about, is if your front end has a different port than your back end and it tries to connect, then it gets all upset, um, unless we tell it not to. So the buggy code here, it says we're going to get a cores error. So if we look at this, so our client here is trying to hit our server at 3000, right? At API/users, which is this, and then it's getting back uh, that cores error that we saw on Wednesday. So thoughts on why it's getting that error?
Is it the require part where it has to require cores?
Yep. Yeah, it's not using the package at all. So if
Okay.
we if we look at our code in our server, we're bringing in cores right here, like you said, with the require, and then we're actually using it in our middleware. In that debug, it doesn't have it at all in the server. So that's why it's saying, hey, can't talk to you. So and then if we look at our answer, yep, same thing. Required cores, use cores. So you might have installed it, but if you didn't actually put it in to use it, then you're gonna get. So easy enough. All right. Okay, so this one says body is not received. Um, so we have a fetch function. So the same kind of concept is up here, right? We're doing a fetch to a URL, and then it's a post method. So we're going to pass a body. So it's going to be some data. In this case, just data, an object with data as a key and X as a string. And then we're hitting the post. So it is a post. So that's correct. At this URL, we're console logging the body and we're getting either an empty object or undefined. So why would we be doing that? My first question would be, what's URL? Like, is this the actual URL with this endpoint on it? Because just based on this, I don't know. And I haven't looked at the answer, so I don't know what the answer is. But that'd be my first question: is, am I like if you're mailing a letter, like, do you have the right address on it, right? Is it going to the right place? Um, if it is, then you got to think, okay, well, why is this body not coming through? Which now that I look at it, I'm thinking the URL is probably fine because I don't think that would be the bug, but I do notice something is wrong with this fetch since it is a post fetch. There's something we need when we're doing a post or a put that we don't need when we're doing a get. And I'll give you a hint. If we look back at our code, if we look at our curl, so remember our curl with just the get, we just needed the URL. But when we did a post, we needed something else in here besides just the URL and the data. Maybe that thing
Yeah,
in the
it's
middle.
that content type and then the is it called a stringify where it has the description of everything?
Um,
Is
oh,
that
oh,
right?
the data here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a string. Yep. Yeah, so you JSON
Okay.
dot stringify it. So yeah.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so the issue with that one is it has no header. So if we look at it again, you can see we are passing the body. It's not stringified, like you said, it should be stringified. But before that, it needs a header because the body always is going to need a header. Sorry, a post is always going to need a header. So that's probably why it's not going through because it doesn't have that header to tell it what to expect. So let's see what their answer is. And it was actually both. So yep. So stringify the body, like you said, and then need the header for their so it'll know that it's going to get some JSON.
I've got a question about
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
So if you're posting something, is what you're posting always going to be called the body?
Yes.
And so that body always needs, it's always going to need a header.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So the body always needs a head.
There you
Right.
go. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Now there are times that you will send data that's not a body, but that's going to be if you pass it in like the query parameters. So if it's like, so look at this URL here, right? So this is GitHub slash me slash this ID, right? So this ID is actually a query parameter. And so you can get that by doing rec.query instead of rec.body. And that wouldn't need a header because it's actually coming through the query. Um, and we'll see that when we pass IDs and things. But so in that case, but to answer your question, if you have a body, then yes, you need to tell it like what's coming across. And this doesn't always have to be JSON. This could be a PDF, it could be an image, it could be a buffer string, like some deep technical things. So this might not always be the same in the application JSON, but yeah, you'll always need the header if you're gonna have a body. Cool. Very nice. Well done. All right. Bug three, pending promise. So here looks like we have a function and we're going to get users. We're awaiting our fetch, so that's good. It's an async function. We're using our await. Fantastic. We get our response. And then we're turning our response into JSON, which we'll call it data. Then we'll console log. So we're getting that promise in our console log, right? Remember how I said if you see that promise, you know you've got a problem with an await somewhere. Like it'll say exactly this, like promise real big. We did await our fetch, but and then I may have not mentioned this. You do need to await your response here too, because it's going to turn into JSON, and this might take a minute. So we would need an await here as well. So that's what it's going to tell us here. We need the await response.json. And this is a very common pattern. So you'll do this over and over. You'll await the fetch and then await the JSON. So you'll see it again. And again, the reason we await is because when we do the fetch, we're going to the server to potentially to the database. So all that's taking a lot of time. So we're going to just wait on it. It's asynchronous. So like our user's not waiting, but our code is saying, okay, I'm going to wait here and wait for this while other things are going on. So it's confusing because it says like await, like everything's going to stop, but it's not going to stop. Just this is going to pause and everything else is going to go on. Yeah, and so obviously make sure that your function is async so that you can actually use the await there. Cool. Is that a little confusing or is that okay? It's good. Okay. All right. Number 4, errors not handled. Okay, so here we have a function. It's an async function. We're awaiting our fetch. We're awaiting our JSON. Perfect. And then we're just rendering our data. And it says network failure, crashed app, no user feedback. So something happened on the server that made this data not not return properly. And so it's saying error not handled. So we didn't handle the error, right? We just assumed that this data is going to be good data, and we're just going to send it right back to the client. But if it's bad data or there's nothing there, then we need to check that, right? We need to do our validations. And so it's going to say we needed to add our try catch block there. So we can say, okay, we're going to try this stuff. We're going to try to get our response. We're going to check that response code and see if it's okay. If it's not, we're going to throw an error and say, hey, HTTP status. So if it's like 200 or whatever, we're going to throw that error so we can tell the client, hey, something happened. And then that's going to go into our catch because we caught an error. And then it's going to console log the error and then send that error message back to the client. So that way it just doesn't die and the client's like, what happened? I have no idea. So this is very common, very good to do so that you do know, okay, something happened. And your console erroring it, which is just like console log, except for it shows it like in red. So that way you as a developer can go back and go, oh, okay, I had an error. Let me see what it is, and then fix it from there. And this is extremely common. I do it every day. All of our stuff is in Google Cloud. So I'd have to go into the logs there and see what the error is. So put a bunch of console.errors in and yeah, oh, okay, this happened for this reason or whatever. So very helpful. Cool. Questions on any of that? Pretty good. Okay. All right, let's check out read the code real quick. Okay. All right. Fetch response. So what type is response? So what is this type? Is it a string, an array? Probably not one of those two because I said them.
Isn't that the object?
Yep, it's the response object. Yep.
Okay.
And then data is what type? What are we turning the response into?
JSON.
JSON. There you go. So it's going to be a JSON object. So yeah, response is a response object, and it has the keys or the values like okay, status, header, JSON stuff. And then data is the parsed JSON body, which is typically an array or an object. Very good. All right, number 2. Post body, let's see. What does the server receive in rec.body? So we're sending this over to the server. We're passing this body. What is it going to look like when it gets to the server side?
Is it just going to be the word coffee?
A little more than that. You're on the right track though.
Description copy?
Yep. Yeah. So it's going to be this whole object just in a string, right? Because we're stringifying it. And so on the server side, we'll then parse it. So then we have just the object. So we can say rec.body.description, and then it'll give us the value coffee, right? We'll see that a bunch today too. And then what middleware is required? I think that just means the cores probably. Let's see. Oh, no. Yeah, our express.json that we have. So we added that way back in the very beginning of our server days. So we can see that up here. And that was just how we actually use our Express server. So I always forget that's there because it's just always there. So, okay, good job. All right, number 3, error check. Let's see. If ID 999 is not found, so right here, what prints? Does fetch throw? So does fetch throw an error is what it means. And this is what I was talking about with query parameters. Like 999 in this case is a query parameter because we're passing it in the URL. So we wouldn't need a rec.body here. So this is actually just a get, but we're passing in the ID through the URL. So, but if this is not found, so if whatever record is not found with this, what would we see? What would print here on the response okay, response status?
I think it wouldn't tell you. It would just throw an error, wouldn't it?
You're still going to get a response regardless, because it's going to tell you if it's a good response or a bad response, and then like what the status of the response was. So you still get that response object either way.
So I had a guess and then I just looked and I was right, but I
Okay.
don't know why I knew it.
Okay.
It's 404 error.
Okay. So what is the 404 error?
It's like page not found.
Yep. Yeah. So it's just not found in general. So in this case, our ID is not found. So it'd print false because response.ok is not, it's not okay, right? Because it didn't give us anything back. And then yeah, 404 would be the status code that we see. So it does not throw an HTTP error, only in the network failure error. Cool. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Pretty good. Okay. All right. Man, there's a bunch of these. Okay. Async order. We'll skip that one. This is just the missing await. Remember, you always got to await your fetch and your response. Express route. So this would be the equivalent of that 999 earlier. This is how we would have the route on the server side so that we could get that ID from the rec.params.id instead of a rec.body. So then we could use that to find whatever it is we're going to find. And we'll do that today as well. And this is just different status codes. So we know that 400s are like not found. 200s are typically good. So I think 201 is success, and 204 is something. Oh, 201 is created, 204 is no content. Okay, success, but nothing to return. So like in delete, if you delete something, it's not going to return anything to you because it deleted it. And then 400 is bad request, or 404 not found. If you get a 400 or a 500, something went wrong. Cool. And you can Google these HTTP codes. codes, response codes, and you can see them all here. And they'll break them down to like what every single one of them is. So again, most common are 200 or 400/500. Um, there's one three. I don't know if we looked at it before. Which is it? It's the teapot. I don't know if y'all have seen the teapot. Uh, oh yeah, 418. I'm a teapot. This is the greatest one ever. So let's see if it has the URL. Let's see. I think you can put 418 status code. What's the URL? Oh, that's a cat. Okay. Well, I'll find it later, but it's really funny, and it's really, if you look at it on your phone, you can tip it and the teapot pours. It's pretty good. But it's
Hmm.
you just have to actually get a 418 status code to do it. Where is I don't know. I'll waste time on it. But anyway, I'll find it later. It doesn't teach you anything. It's just a teapot that Google did a long time ago. So, okay. All right. I think that's good enough on that. Any questions on any of that? Good. Okay. All right. In the links that I sent you on the plan.md one, if y'all want to pull that up if you don't already have it up, there's something we need to do before we can really get started. Since we don't have any authentication right now, we really don't have a user. In the real world, somebody would come to our expense tracker site and they would log in because they don't want to see everybody else's expenses, right? They just want to see their own. So we need a user ID, right? So next week we'll actually do authentication and actually get the user and all that stuff. This week we're just going to make a fake user and store it in our local storage, and it's just going to have the ID of one, its user ID of one. But in order for that to work, what we're going to have to do is actually create a user ID column in our categories and in our expenses table. So that way, when we're reaching out, we can say, okay, I want to get all the expenses for this user, right? Like I don't want to get them for any other user, just the one that's logged in. So we got to make those updates. So I wrote out there how to do it. So y'all can just grab this up and paste it in your Supabase, and it should be good to go. I've already done it. So if one of y'all wants to share your screen and walk through it, we can do it so everybody can kind of see. That'd probably be good.
Where's that link at?
It's in the Slack at the bottom of the channel.
Is it the
Yep.
plan.md current
Yep. Yeah, the plan
plan
MD.
one? Okay.
Yep. When you want to share, and we can use you as the guinea pig.
Sure. Give me just a moment. Actually, I'm gonna put this over here. Okay. All right. Oh, share. Okay, so plan MD, I just got that open.
Yep.
So do I need to make a new file for that?
No, it's gonna go in your Supabase.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just updating the database.
Okay, so we need the browser on here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Once we put this in Supabase, do we need to run something specific to make sure that it's working correctly?
You'll just do select all from categories or select all from expenses.
Okay.
Make sure you got that user ID column. And it has ones in it.
Okay.
Yep.
Base open, actually.
Cool. I would just start and hit that little plus button.
little.
So I meant on your Superbase, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, to like open a new little window. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. And yeah, just grab that code I have in the first section and paste it in there. Um, Real quick, go to your or just do a select all from yeah, do that. Do line 14. Just copy
Just line
that.
14.
Yeah. I can't remember if yours was yeah, so you have I think you have category table.
Okay.
So but let's fix it so we're all on the same page. Um Go to your table editor on the left. It'll be right above that. Yeah, right there. And go to category, click the three dots. So yeah, there you go. And do edit table. Let's see if you can change the name. Yeah, change it to categories. That way it's not all crazy. Okay. Yeah, hit save at the bottom there. Sweet. Okay. Now go back to your SQL editor and then run line 14 again just to make sure it worked. Okay, cool. All right. Yep. Now, yeah, just do the first one and then the second one, all that.
All right.
Beautiful. Yep. So the reason this is saying this is because there is no where clause. So it's saying, hey, you're going to update your entire table, which is what we want to do this time.
Okay.
But be aware of that. Like typically you want a where clause because you don't typically want to mess with your whole table. But again, this
Yeah.
time we do. So and do a select all from expenses just to make so we can make sure it worked. I didn't.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Didn't put a space. Cool. So we have user ID column with all ones. Perfect. Oh, I spaced wrong. Yeah, that should go with line 10 as well. My spacing's just off. It's fine. Just drag it down to, yeah.
So do I need to copy it under like maybe in
No, no,
13?
no, just highlight line 8 and line 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I just spaced wrong. Okay, and then do 11, 12. Yes. Cool. And then just select 14 again. Okay, all good. Cool. So just to walk through that, basically what we're doing, line one, we're altering the table expenses. We're adding a column, user ID. We're telling it we want it to be an integer, which we're gonna have to change that later next week because we'll use a UUID instead of just an integer like number one. But for now, it's fine. So that's adding the column, and then we're updating expenses, the same table, and we're setting the user ID column equal to 1 for everybody or for all the records. Then we're selecting all just to make sure it worked, and then we're doing the same thing to categories. We're altering the table categories, adding the column, updating it, and then selecting it. It's pretty good there. All right. Laura and Elizabeth, y'all got that? Perfect. Okay, sweet. Cool. So yeah, let's go to that second part. So let's go to your code, Wayne.
Uh, you want to put it up here?
Yeah, please. Let's go to your code.
Oh,
We'll walk through this next part together.
phone's doing something weird. Okay. Okay.
Sweet. All right. So yeah, in our index.js, we're going to put at the top. Why did I put it that way? Oh yeah, our user. So in the next section in the planet.md, just grab that user object
What am I looking at?
in the plan.md.
Plan.md.
Yep.
Oh,
Same thing you were just
right.
browser. Yeah.
What am I grabbing?
Plan.md. So go up. Nope.
Up on this.
No. Go back to browser. Three tabs over from where you're at.
Okay.
Up. Keep going up. Your browser tabs. Yep. Nope. Left one. Up.
Sorry, there's stuff in the way.
You're good. To the right one more. Plan.md. There you go. All right. So grab that user object right up top there. Copy that and then put that at the top of your index.js. Yep. Just throw it in there.
At the very top.
It does anywhere in there's fine. Cool. So this is going to be our user that we're going to store in our local storage, right? So this, imagine we went to the database, the authentication database, got our user, brought it back, whatever. Don't comment it out. We're actually going to use it.
Yeah, I know. I was making
Oh,
a comment for
okay.
it, and I was gonna return.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
Cool. Awesome. So now if you look at the plan.md again, we're going to create these two functions. So you can really just copy all that, the rest of it.
Okay.
Grab that bracket at the end there. Don't forget that little guy. There you go. Cool. And we're going to put that in our index.js. You can just stick it there at the top. That's fine. Yeah. And so this is, why is it mad about that? Oh, I see, because I'm doing that in a global way. Get rid of that let user on 8. Okay. And then, why is it? Oh, so I didn't actually do any of this yet, so we're debugging as we go. For user, do you know what is wrong there on line 13? Anybody can answer this. Do you see that there's an error and it says red because it's an error? Think about when you're comparing versus when you're assigning a
It
variable.
doesn't need double equals.
Yeah, at least doubles, probably triple will do better. Yeah, so because it's single, it's saying, oh, you want to assign this. And we're like, oh, no, I wanted to compare it. Okay. Y'all remember that from module 2?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. Let's see. And then it is mad because why? Let's see. Local store. Oh, okay. So there's a missing parenthesis on line 5 at the end. Okay, just throw a parenthesis. There you go. Cool. So yeah, so it had the user parentheses, but it didn't have the whole set item parenthesis there. So that's good. Now, why is this one mad? Let's see. Got that. That's good. That's good. That's good. What are you upset about?
It feels like I'm missing a front end bracket. Maybe. Like, because it looks like this one, I feel like matches with this one.
Oh, yep. Yeah, the if doesn't have its opening bracket on line 13. Yep. Good call. Cool. Awesome. So yeah, so if you just grab my code and threw it in, then you got to fix all that because we made a lot of errors. It's totally on purpose for training, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So what this is doing then is it's very similar to how we were doing our expenses in local storage. So we have one function that's going to set our user in local storage, which is named that. So it's using that local storage API that we get with the browser, and it's setting the item and it's setting it as user, the user key. And then again, it's stringifying the user, right? So that object on line two, it's stringifying that. Because remember, anytime we store something in local storage or pass it to the back end, it has to be stringified.
Mhm.
And then in the second function, we're just getting user from local storage. So again, with that local storage API, we're doing our dot get item using the key that we gave it, which was that user, the user string. Then we're going to console log that, and then we're going to do a check to make sure that there is a user. So we're saying if there's not a user, or if the user is just a stringified object and there's nothing in it, which is a good way to always check your objects. You just basically see if there's stringified objects, stringified empty objects. So if either one of those are true, then we're going to console log an error. Um, well, actually, so we probably should return after that because if they're not there and then we try to parse it, we're going to get an error, right? So probably on line 16, just put return. Well, actually, sorry, inside the if statement. Yeah, yeah, do return there. Perfect. Cool. Does it make sense to everyone that why we would have got an error on 18 if we didn't return?
Is that because we didn't call the function?
It's because user would have been blank or null or wouldn't have been there. And so on 18, when we tried to parse user, if there was nothing there, if it was, null or whatever, we couldn't parse it. So it would have gave us a parse error, which we could see. If you comment out 15, we can run it and see if we can see that error. But to your point, we haven't called either one of these yet, so neither one's actually going to do anything, which we'll do here in a second. Did I lose anyone yet, or y'all still good?
Think I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so let's go. So we want this to run as soon as the page loads so we can get our user. So I think at the very bottom, we have our onload function or our DOM content loaded function. Yep, right there. Cool. So yeah, just add in here the load or whatever those two functions were called. I just forgot oh, they're right here. Yeah, run set user in local storage
What?
inside that DOM content loaded. So where the cores error is,
Mhm.
yeah, just throw it in there.
What am I throwing in there?
Those two functions, the set user and the get user.
Didn't we already throw these in?
Yeah, you're just gonna call them down there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, we already defined them. Now we just need to call them.
Hold on. Set user in local storage. Um, I'm blanking. Okay,
You're good.
calling
Yeah,
is
it's just like we did, just like line 290.
okay. Oh,
Yep, there you go. Yep, and then do the same for the other one.
mm,
There you go. It's helping you out. Yeah. So remember, defining a function is what we did up top when we're telling it,
yeah.
like putting everything inside. And then calling or invoking is what we're doing here.
Mhm.
Here's the function name in the parentheses. So when the page loads, that's what the whole event listener is for on 288. When it loads, it's going to call that callback function, which is the parentheses with the fat arrow, and it's just going to call all these functions. Um, Well, we can leave CORS error for now. It's not hurt anything. So it's going to initially set the um, the user in storage, and then it's going to get the user so that we can actually use it. Um, let's fake a loading time because whenever we do this for real, we're going to actually go to the database and get the user. So in between 291 and 292, let's add a timeout. So I think if you do, just start typing timeout. Yeah, go down to set timeout. Like just push down. Yeah. Yeah, hit that one. Let's see what it does. Yeah. Okay. Hit tab, hit enter. And let's see if you're gonna stop helping us right there. Okay. Um, I'm trying to think of how set time it is. Just do console.log loading.
Mm,
Yeah, that'll work. And then after that, hit enter. I have to like get out of it. Yep. No semicolon.
yeah. No, so
No. Hit enter and then add that bracket. And then yeah, do like 2000 like it's doing.
that
So
like
it's
2000 what
2000.
seconds,
No, milliseconds.
milliseconds.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 seconds. Yep. So we'll go over that real quick. The set timeout it's similar to other um, I don't know, functions like that. So what it does is it's gonna pause for however long you tell it to pause for, and then it's gonna run that whatever's inside of it. So in this case, it'll pause for 2 seconds, and then it should console log loading, and then it'll go on to the next thing. So you could use this for like I don't know if you were making a game or something and you needed there to be a pause before something happened. Um, you could do pause and then like upload or update, hit points or whatever the case may be. But in our case, we're just using it as a fake little loading deal.
Mm.
Cool. So
You
that's
want me to like load the browser?
that's what I'm thinking. I think we have enough that we should be able to see it. Let's do. Are we console? Scroll up a little bit.
What
Oh,
am I looking for?
sorry, just right above, or actually, yeah, go to the top. That's where we put those functions. Yeah, here we go. So when we do our get user, we're gonna console log the user, so we'll see that. So that'll be good. And then we'll have the user. Okay, yep. Yeah. Go ahead and uh, yeah, run your HTML or start your live server, whatever. And then open your thing. Yep. Okay.
Okay, I see.
Click on on console next to elements at the top so we can see it bigger. Yeah, there you go. Cool. Dun, dun. So we are seeing our user. It's on line, well, it's not a line number, but where it says user and then ID, blah, blah.
Yeah,
So we
right
got
here it says line 11.
yep. So that's where we're consoling that.
Okay,
It is,
25 type error, some constant variable.
yeah, we'll fix those in a second. But yeah, so we got, just making sure, so we see our user right there. I can I do a pointer? I think I can do a pointer. Oh, where's my pointer? Hey, let me draw. Oh, cool. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Sweet. Found something new. Awesome. Okay, so yeah. So you see that that's the user that we we put it in local storage and then we got it back and then we console logged it. And then you can see our little loading right here. So if you refresh your page, there should be a 2 second pause before that loading pops up. So yeah, give your page a refresh and let's see if that happens. So 1, 2, there it is. Cool. You can have some fun with timeouts. Like you can make your page do all sorts of wacky stuff just for fun. But cool. How do I now erase my clear? Okay. All right. So let's look at the errors now. So this one is saying type error, assignment to constant variable. So if we look at in our JavaScript line 18, it says we are reassigning a constant, which we are. So we on line 2, we declared a constant user, and then 18, we're reassigning that. So we shouldn't do that. Um, so what we should do is we need another variable for like current user, because the one on line 2 we're just using to store the initial user because we're not going to the database. So these are just kind of band-aid things we're doing now. But yeah, on line 3, do a let current user. Yep, and just don't set it to anything. Just leave it as undefined. So just you can just put the um, semicolon. Yeah, just get rid of null and the equals.
Get rid of the null and the equals.
Yeah. Yep. So we're declaring it, but we're not defining it. So it's technically undefined right now, which is fine. Um, and then change 18, change user to current user on line 18. Yeah, just the first one. There you go. So now, oop, okay, cool. So that should get rid of that error. So yeah, go back and refresh your page and see that error's gone. Okay, cool. We're getting a server error because we're not running our server. That's fine. And then it failed to fetch because yeah, we're not running our server. So those are expected right this second. Okay, so that was a lot of moving parts there. How's everybody else? You good? Cool. You got the current user and everything like we have? Okay. Sweet. All right. Good. Okay. I will take back over then, so you don't have to be guinea pig the whole time.
All right.
Good job, though. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me get caught up to what we actually did there. Uh, so what am I doing? Okay. Let me throw these in here. So let's do, uh, oop, wait. Current user, and put that, get rid of that guy, that guy, triple equals, this is current user. Okay. And then I had to call them down here, right? Set user storage, and then get user storage, and then set timeout. Okay. think that was everything. Let me run this. Cool. All right, sweet. So also we can look in our good application. Yeah, in our application folder, and we should see in our local storage our user, which we do. So you have user and then that guy right there. So very good. All right. Okay. All right. Looking back at our MD, our plan. So we got all that handled. And again, next week we'll actually create a user in Supabase and do the authentication and actually get a real ID and all that fancy stuff. For now, that's what we got. So now what we got to do is start creating our functions so we can hit our backend, so we can hit our database and do the whole shebang, right? So I put these in order of CRUD. So create, read, update, delete. We're not going to do it in that order. We're going to read first so we can actually get it and see it, and then we'll create stuff. So first thing we need to do is we need to read all our expenses, right? So currently on our, let me do this. On our expense tracker, if we added expenses, they get stored in local storage and they're going to show up here, right? So what we want to do, we already have expenses created in our database. We just need to get them back to where we are and then start display them. So if we look at our code, then currently on our load here, we have our load categories and our load expenses. So we'll do load categories first. So I'm going to uncomment this guy and then go to that function and see what it's doing. And so currently this is like our fake database, right? This array here. But we don't want this. We want to actually get the categories from our database. So I'm going to go ahead and just kill this guy and walk through this. So we are selecting our query selector, right? Our categories, our category element, which if we remember is here. So we have our ID of category right there. And remember, we're dynamically populating this. So we were going through that array and putting them in one by one, which if we remember is what we're doing in this for loop here, is going through that categories array that I just deleted, right? So what we need to do before we can do any of that is actually get the categories. And so at the top here, we're going to have our categories array. So we'll just do let category equal an empty array. And then we're going to actually have to fetch our categories from the database. So hit our server, hit our database, and then put them in here. So if we look real quick at our Corsair function, we can get an example of how to do a get, right? So I'm just going to grab all this out of here and just copy it. And then we'll put it up here. And so this is going to be get request to get all categories from database. Okay. What is my, oh, I didn't get my try at the top. Need my try. Okay. Okay. All right. So in our fetch, we need to hit the endpoint to get our categories, right? So if we go to our server, then we can see for our categories is at the bottom, I think. Oh, actually, I think y'all did categories. I didn't do categories. Oh, no, I did right here. Okay. So we have our get that's going to get our categories, right? So this is going to go to the database, look at our categories table, select everything from there, and then it's going to order them by date, which doesn't really matter in our case if it orders them or not. But this is what we want to hit, right? This is the endpoint we want to hit so we can get our categories back. So slash categories is what we need to know. So we go back to our index.js. So in here, we're hitting slash expenses, but we need to hit slash categories instead. So let's go slash categories. Okay. And then we're going to check if once we do this, we're going to check if our response is good. Just move that back a line. And then we're going to return out of there, but we're not going to return out of here because we want to actually put this in our categories array, right? And return that or use that down here. So instead of returning, we're just going to do, we're going to just do, let's say, const JSON response equals await. So this is we're gonna await the JSON, right? If everything is good, we're gonna await it and then put it in our JSON response here. And then that response should be our stringified array, right? Because that's what we're getting back from the database. If we look in our server.js, we're just returning JSON data. So we'll see what that looks like. We'll go ahead and just console.log our JSON response. JSON response. Okay. This should go in a tab. Okay. All right. So if something were to happen in here, then it should throw an error, which our catch block should catch, and then we would see the error there. So everybody good on this so far?
I caught the second part of it, but I missed the first part about deleting. I
Yes,
could not
I did
find
too.
I could not find where that was in my code.
Deleting the categories that we had. What you mean?
I think so. I was trying to look. I just totally missed.
Oh, no worries. What does your load categories look like? Your load categories function.
Okay, let me find it.
Yeah. You can share it real quick if you want.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Control F is your friend,
Control F.
or Command F, whichever, for your finder, so you can just type in load categories, or for your find, not your finder. Another way you can, if you do command and you just click on the function name on 292, then it should take you
On
to.
2. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to load categories. Is that what I'm
Yeah.
going to? Okay.
Yeah. Try control click.
Okay.
It should make a little line under it. No.
Okay.
Well, yeah. You can just highlight it and do control F or command F.
Okay.
There you go. So now you see your little finder popped up on the right there, top right.
Yes.
Yeah, just looks like you don't have, or it's looking for a space in front of it. So yeah, make sure you don't have that space grabbed.
Okay.
Oh. If you just double click it, it should just highlight what you want.
This thing is being stupid. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then what am I doing? Command 5? Command F?
Yeah, F.
Okay.
Showing that you don't have it. Because see, it's showing 1 of 1.
Uh-huh.
It's like you don't have the function.
I actually don't think I have it either.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe we get rid of it then. I'll just throw it in Slack then. Oops. Okay, it's in Slack now.
Okay.
Where'd my deal go?
Okay. And then where do I put this?
You can just put it right above that event listener.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So what we did delete is at the top of this function, we had an array of categories, which now we just
Okay.
have an empty array.
Okay.
Because we were just using them on the front end. So that was our little like fake database. But now we're going to go to the database and actually get them and then fill in that array with those categories.
Okay. Do I need to switch this to 3000 since my deal is
Uh,
on 3000?
yes, yeah, whatever your
Okay.
port is.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take back over.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I did not know y'all didn't have that guy. Which is okay. I know we've done a lot of stuff. Okay, speaking of port, let me make sure I'm on my right port. Yep, 3001. Good to go. Okay, everybody this far? We're good?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now I'm going to run my server. So bring my terminal up. Make sure you're in your server folder, right? Where your server.js lives. And then you can do npm run start or npm run dev if you want Nodimon to run. Or npm start or npm run Nodimon. And then once your server is running, then we should be able to open our index.html in our browser. So use your 5 server. Laura, did you get yours working? The 5 server one? Or live server either way?
On whenever the thing that we were doing before.
Yeah, whenever you right click and you can go to like open with 5 server.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I have open with live server, but not
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. Okay,
Either
cool.
way. Yeah, as long as it works. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, so once we open it, then if we look at our um, browser console, I have an error, which is fantastic. So let's see, await is only valid in async functions. So I have, let's see. Okay, yep. So I'm trying to do await here like I'm supposed to, but I didn't make my load categories async. So it's telling me exactly what's wrong. It's like you're trying to do an await, but you don't have an async, right? So we just need to put async in front of our function word here, async, like that. And this one you'll do it all the time because you won't be thinking about that. And I'm awaiting. Why is it not working? Okay. So once we have async there, then we can go back and refresh our page, and we should see this JSON response array, which should have our actual categories in it. So if we look at them, this is our data from the database, right? It's got our UUID IDs, it's got our names, our dates, and our user IDs. Cool.
One more time, where do we put the async at?
Right in front of function.
Right in front of function.
Yep.
Uh,
Okay, so if that's working, you should see this JSON response in your browser. Give me a thumbs up if you got that. Okay.
It looks like I have a lot of errors now, which
In
I
your browser,
didn't earlier.
in your browser?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and share it. We'll see.
Share.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. All right. So just to give you an idea,
Okay.
I wasn't getting all this a minute ago, like
Yep.
20 minutes ago.
Yeah, no, yeah, we've opened the server, so now the server's throwing you a bunch of junk. Um, so yeah,
So,
so you're getting the user, so we got past that part. So let's go look at your code.
all right.
Okay, so you have load categories. Go down to the bottom. Let's make sure we're calling load categories. Okay, we're calling it there. Good. Okay, back up to that function, load categories.
Uh, load categories.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you on, is your server running on 3001 or 3000?
3001.
Okay, so your port's good. You have categories endpoint. Oh, I know why. Remember you had category instead of categories?
Mm-hmm.
So I think your server still says category. So let's go to server.js.
Oh, okay. Here's my superface at.
Well, we fixed your database, so we need to just fix your server now.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Oh, okay. So go
yeah,
to the
yep.
server.js and change it there.
Yeah. So let's look at for your category endpoints. It'll just be in your endpoints down the way. So expenses, okay, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. So yeah, these are all slash expenses so far. We need slash category or categories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that post is good. So let's find the get.
From categories. That
Oh
needs a
yeah,
category.
yeah. You need to fix that one. Good call. Okay, keep going. Yep, fix that table name in there. So you do. So you did have the right endpoints. You just didn't have the right table names in there since we switched it. Yep, and then yep. Okay, and, and that should be good. Okay, cool. So yeah, since you're doing Nodemon, your server is updating, so you don't need to stop it. So go back to your browser and refresh and see what it looks like. Okay. So looks like you're hitting expenses somewhere, but we're not using expenses yet. Oh, in your cores error. Okay. So yeah, did I comment out the cores error function? I thought I did.
I don't think I did. So
Oh, I didn't either. Wonder why I wasn't seeing that error. I don't know. That's okay. Yeah, go ahead and just comment out in your index.js.
server.
It'll be, yeah, on the front end. Yep, index.js. So at the very bottom, yeah, just comment out 312, or get rid of it either way.
Mm.
Okay, now back to your browser. Okay, so we got rid of that one. You got your JSON response right there. Perfect.
Oh yeah, that's what you were talking about.
Yep. Yep. So those are the categories coming from your database.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Okay. Okay. In promise, reference error,
Yeah,
category.
these we're gonna have those right now because we're not that far.
Okay.
That's
So I'm
fine.
where we need to be.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So that's the full path, right? So we said from our front end, hey, go to the server at this endpoint, and then the server said, okay, I'm gonna go to the database, get these things, bring them back. I can start. I can share again if you want.
Okay.
My code is where'd my code go? Uh, okay, yeah. So there's a front end, right? This is our index.js. So we're saying, all right, let's load these categories. So comes to our function here, and then it's gonna go to our server, to our slash categories endpoint, which is, I'll put over here so we can see it right here. And this is saying, all right, let's go to the database, look in the categories table, get everything that's there. And then if we get an error or whatever, we're going to return 500. If not, we're returning the data. And so that's what we get in the response is it good or whatever? We're checking if it's good. If it is, we're going to await that response as JSON, which is the JSON response that we are seeing in our uh, page here. So this is the array. And then we actually need to put it in our document, right? Because right now our categories is empty. So if we look here, there's nothing in our select category, right? So that is the next step. But I want to back up real quick because one thing we didn't use is our user ID. So remember, we want to only get the categories that belong to our user. And so we need to pass that along. So we'll pass that in our query params. So if we add, let's add at the top here, uh, let's do console log current user. And I'm going to put a tag and I'm going to say current user in load categories function. So I'll know that that's the one that I'm looking at. So this way I can get the ID from that current user and pass it along. So just to show that real quick, if I refresh, right here is my current user in my load categories with my ID, right? So I want to pass this ID to the back end, to my server, so I can then only get the categories that belong to that user, right? Because if my expense tracker, I may have expenses like the dog and the Tesla and like things like that, and you may have your cat and your Honda or whatever, whatever. So you might have different categories than I do. Those are very bad examples, but understand the concept, right? So back in my code, I know that I can access that ID with this current user object. So I'm going to do on this fetch, I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to use my template literals, my backticks, and I'm going to do a slash uh, $ curly brackets, which is how you can pass a variable into a string, right? And I'm going to make this current user dot ID. Dot ID? No. Yes, dot ID. Okay. Oop, that was the wrong button. So I'll let you copy that real quick and then we'll go to the server side and get it over there. And I'll go over all that again to make more sense. All right, give me a thumbs up if you got that copied. Okay. All right, so we're getting that ID. Now we're going to pass that in our fetch as a query param, right? To our backend. So now here's the endpoint categories, right? We're going to do a slash colon ID. And so this is now how we're going to access that query parameter, right? So we can do a console.log rec dot query dot ID. I'm going to say I'm just going to say query param for ID. And so the reason we're saying we're using .id is because that's what we're calling it here in the endpoint. If this was like .taco, then this would be .taco, right? Like that's how it matches there. But we leave it as ID, don't make it taco. So now in our server, we should see, move that up so you can see it. When we hit that endpoint, we should see here it log that query param as 1 because that's the one we're passing at number 1. So let me refresh my page and then go back there. And it's undefined. So I did something wrong here. So let's see, what did we do wrong? Let me look at a different one. Let's see, that's params. It's rec.params, not rec.query. That was my bad. Rec.params. So it's query parameters, so they call it params. So now if I refresh, I should be good. Okay, so yeah, you see right there, ID 1, right? So leave that there. So again, we just added the slash colon ID, and then we're just console logging the query, the rec.params.id for right now. We're going to pass this into our query in a second so we can get just the ones we want. I'll let y'all get that down real quick.
I think I'm getting errors again.
In your browser?
Yeah.
That's okay. We won't worry about those right now.
Okay. So 404, like errors for like user and stuff, that's expected.
Let's see what I got. I've got a reference error right now, but we'll fix whatever that is. Right now we're gonna see if we can actually get the only, just the records we want back. So as long as you have this copied, you're okay for now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna jump to Supabase real quick. And maybe where's my Supabase at? Over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna look at my categories table, just select all from categories. And I'm gonna just change the user ID on one of these, just so we can see that we're getting back just the ones we want. So I'm gonna do an update categories, set user ID equal to 2, where we'll say where name equals, and we'll just we'll get rid of food. Do food. Okay, and I'm gonna run that and then do my select all. Okay, so now food has 2, right, instead of 1. So go ahead and do this with yours. Just make one of them have ID of 2 instead of 1. So that way we can just get all the ones that are for 1 and we can see that 2 doesn't come back.
How did you get the how did you get 2 to show up in your database results? I think I must have missed a step or something.
So when I did set user ID equal to 2 here,
Hmm.
that's what changed it. This update statement.
Oh, I forgot to run it after I did that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Can you scroll up? I just want to see what's at the very beginning.
This is just the alter stuff we did before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That still didn't work for me. When I ran the thing for set user ID to 2, I got an error.
Okay, let's share your screen. Let's check it out.
Okay.
Oh, did you just highlight just line 17?
Yes.
Yeah, no, you got to highlight the whole query. So 16,
Oh,
16 to 18.
okay, 16 to 18.
Yep. There you go. Now
Oops.
run 14 and you should see. There you go.
Okay. Sorry about that. Good
No, you're
grief.
good. Yep. Yeah, and like you could have put all that on one line if you wanted to, the whole thing.
Hmm.
I just broke it out like that to make it easier to read.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
mine is also giving me an error, but it's because I don't have a category food on my specific expense tracker.
Okay, you can just use a different one.
Okay.
Yeah. Did that work? Okay, cool. Okay, so what we want to do then in our code is we just want to get back the ones that belong to user ID 1. So if we do a select in here, we'll just do select all from categories, and then we're going to say where user underscore ID equals 1. And so you notice right now the whole table, like I have 6 rows. You may have however many rows you have. Whenever I run this query, I should only see five rows, right? Because only 5 of them have user ID 1. Okay. So if I run this, see there, I only have 5 rows now. Only the user IDs of 1. So that's our goal, right? Is to get back only the categories for the logged in user, not for all of them. Make sense? Cool. Okay. So now if we go back to our code, then all we got to do is just adjust our query to say select all, and then we got to do the dot equals. So if you remember with Postgres, it's not dot where in our code, it's dot equals, and we want it to equal our user ID, so this is our column, right? Want it to equal our rec.params.id. So we want it to equal 1 in this case. So this query is the exact same as the select we just wrote in Supabase. Except for it has an order by, but that's fine. All right, cool. So if we now refresh our page, then refresh the right page, then we should now only see, in my case, 5 categories, and they're all going to have user ID of 1. So however many you have, you should only see user ID of 1 in your browser, in your JSON response. And Wayne, if you're still getting 404s or whatever, let me know and we'll look at it. If you're talking to us, you're muted.
I'm still having issues.
Okay, let's share. Let's see what we got.
Okay. So they just offered to like give me deeper, like explain things, I guess, as far as the
Okay.
errors. And I just said yes. So there's a bunch of stuff on here now.
Okay.
I just did that. I don't want to spend my time taking it off yet. So there's like a lot of explanation for what the
Yeah,
problems are.
no
Maybe.
worries. So it says in your uh, current user.id, you're getting a 404. So
Mhm.
let's go to your index.js real quick. And let's see your index. It's open. There you go. Okay. Let's see. Load categories. Oh, okay. So you're passing in your variable current user.id, but you notice how it's all brown? Like the whole thing is
Current
brown.
user.id
Yeah, line 286.
36. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just a string, right? So you have to use the backticks to actually use the variable. There you go. So now you see your variable is blue.
Hmm.
So now it's actually being used. So that should get rid of that 404.
Okay, that is gone.
Okay. And then your current user is not defined. So let's go back to the code and see why it's not defined. Then, so current user. Let's see. Go to the top where you made that variable. Okay, your U is not capitalized in user. And then same on line 18. No, there you go. That should be good there. So
Yeah, I think that's fine.
let's see.
No.
It's still, yeah, let's go back to your load categories function. Load categories one at the bottom, I think.
Oh,
Okay, current user is fine there. Why is that? Um, Double click on current user and hit Command F.
right here.
Yeah,
Command F.
yeah. I'm just trying to find it throughout the thing. 3 of 3. We saw 3 of them, so that should have been fine. Um, let's see. Yeah, this should be fine. Okay. Yeah, go back to your browser and refresh. Let's see if we're still getting that guy. Undefined
See what
read.
it says. Load categories.
So it's saying on
Object.
286. Yeah, what's on line 286 of your
290. 236.
so it says 286 and then it says 236. So we'll start at 286 and then we'll move to the other one.
All right. 286.
Oh, that's what we got right there.
And it was 236.
Yeah. What's on 236? Oh, that's just what you're calling it. Okay. Maybe it doesn't like that it's below it for some reason. It shouldn't care. But yeah, go down to where your function is on 286. Oh, actually, go down a little bit more. You have 2 DOM content loaders. I think that's the issue. So yeah, line 310, like that's your function you're calling, but I think I saw another one if you go up. Keep going. Keep going. Uh, yeah, so see that's a DOM content loader on 235.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've got 2 of the same function, which is where you put your toggle and all that stuff, which is fine, but it's fine that you put that there, but you can't have 2.
Okay.
Because it's getting
So,
confused and it's saying which one do I use?
so delete the second one, first one. Does it matter?
Let's look at that second one again real quick. See what's in it. So that was our set. So we need our set user and all that stuff. So if you want, just grab line 313 to 317. Yeah, copy that, and then go back to the other.
I don't like copy or cut.
Either way. And then let's go up to the other content loader up here. Okay, and just yeah, right before load categories, put that what you copied or what you cut. Okay. Um,
Then go back down and delete it.
yeah. Yeah, just kill that whole thing.
So all this.
Yep, and the stuff below it.
Using the load categories.
Yeah, because we have that in the other function. And then that thing too. Okay, now go refresh your page and see what we got. Okay, that one's gone. So now we have categories one. Okay, let's go back to your code.
Okay. 291 and 41.
Okay, so this categories slash ID. Let's go to your server.js. There you go. And then go to your categories, get your or endpoint. Probably down in the bottom somewhere. Okay, right. That's the post. So keep going. And that's the get. Okay. So in the get right there, you just don't have the query parameter. So after categories, do slash on 157.
Go to category slash. Okay.
Yeah, do slash and then colon ID. There you go. So that's what's that on the front end in the index.js where we put the /1. Like this is how you catch that in your server, right? This is like a little temporary variable kind of.
Yeah.
So that should now get rid of that 404. You go refresh your browser. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. And you're getting a response back. You're getting 5 of them. Click that out. Click that down where the 5 is. Not the error, just the JSON response.
What are we doing? Click what out?
Where it says JSON response, just right above the error. You're not in the red, right above it. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool. So you can see user IDs for all of those. So you're still getting back that 2. You see? So we don't want that. We just want the ones that have the 1, right?
Okay.
So the reason is, so 157 is where we're at, right? And so you're passing the ID, but you're not actually using it in your query yet. So you're just still selecting all. So you need to add the dot equals or the dot EQ. So go to 161. Yep. And right after that, hit enter and do dot EQ. Well, yeah, do what it's telling you. It's such a helpful. Cool. So that's getting that colon ID, which is the rec.params.id, so the number 1 in our case, and it's matching it to the user underscore ID column. So we just get back the ones with 1.
Okay.
So now if you refresh your browser, you should see only 4, which you do in your JSON response. And then if you open that up, you see all user IDs of 1. Cool. That make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Loading categories. So what's this last one?
We haven't messed with categories array yet, so it's just mad about it. But that's the next step. So the whole point of all that, right? Here, I'll share my screen again. See, I have the error too. Okay. So I'm going to go over all that again. The whole point is that in our Supabase, we have the categories we want to get, which if we do select all from categories, we can see that we have 1 and 2 in the user ID, right? But we only want the categories for user 1. So if we select where user ID is 1, then we're just going to get back the ones for user ID of 1. So that's the goal. So from front to back, what we got to do is we have our user, which is this guy up top here, this user ID of 1, name Rodrigo. And then in our function for our load categories, we are fetching our /categories get route, and we are passing with it the query parameter of the ID of the user, which is the number 1, right? So in our server, we're catching that in our get right here, our get endpoint with categories with the query param of ID, which we can access with rec.params.id. And so we are hitting our database. We're saying, hey, let's look at the categories table, get everything from it where the user ID column equals that parameter that we're passing. So the number one. And so that's bringing us back just the ones we want. And so that's why we're seeing then on the front end. So this returns, right, the data back to here to our response. And then we check it out, and then we're logging that response, which gives us these guys with just user ID of one. So that's the flow, right, from front to back. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Pretty good. I know it's a lot of moving parts. And this is the big like keeping up with it, knowing like where each data is, what it's called at that point. But that's the whole flow, like back through there.
My JSON response is giving it's not breaking it up by categories for some reason. It's just giving me back all of the individual items.
Okay, let's share your screen. Let's check it out.
Okay.
Oh, I think you're getting expenses back instead of categories.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Check your code out.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to your front end, your next.js,
Okay. All right.
and load categories. So this, it's in, wait. So earlier you didn't have a load categories function, and now you
Um,
do with that. So
I wonder if I was looking in the wrong thing or something.
I
Huh.
think you had to be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oops.
That's okay. Let's see. Double click on load categories on 245,
Okay.
and then do a control F or command F, whichever. So yeah, okay. So now you have one of four. So
Oh, fun. Okay.
yeah. So let's click through those guys, see which ones you got here. Okay, so that's where you're calling it, so that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the one that we just made.
Okay.
So the other one is we don't need that other one. So yeah, click it again. One more time. And yeah, delete. Actually, let me see. Go back to the other one. Click down on the
Okay.
little down arrow, and then scroll down. Let me see. Okay, so this one is okay. It has the select and everything. That's fine. Okay, yeah. So go delete that first one.
Okay.
Yeah, that whole function.
All right. Throw this all out.
The whole function though. So that's just the array. So we keep going
Oh,
down.
okay.
Yeah, all the way
Like
down.
from
Yep.
there.
Yep.
There to there. Okay.
Yeah, kill that. Okay. Now go back to your browser and refresh.
Okay.
Let's see. Um,
Oops. Oops, oops.
yeah, you just click on console.
Okay.
There you go. So you're getting a current error, a current user error on 263. Let's go look at that first. 263, current user. Okay, double click on current user and control F or command F. Okay, go to the first one. All right, so you have current with a little u user,
Oh.
which is fine as long as the rest of them are the same. Um,
Uh-huh.
but I would capitalize it just to keep it
Okay.
with convention.
And then
Okay.
there as well.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, go to the next one. So see, you already had it highlight or capitalized there.
I did.
So
Okay.
that was probably why you were getting that error.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go back to your browser, hit
Okay.
refresh. Cool. Okay, so that error is gone.
Okay.
You're still getting a 10 two
Oh,
JSON responses.
look at that though.
Yeah.
That's new. I haven't gotten that
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
correct one. So
Yeah.
the first
Okay.
one, so go to 254, line 254.
254. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, you were just logging, you were in your CORS error function
Uh-huh.
and you did a little bit of the work that we already did,
Okay.
just in the wrong function. But that's it. You see that's hitting your expenses endpoint on line 249.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, I
that's why you're
do.
getting that back. So yeah, just get rid of that JSON response and console log. So
Okay,
two,
the whole thing.
just 253 and 254.
Okay. 253 and 254.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't really need this function, but it's helpful just to have a reference, you know. But yeah, so that should get rid of that for you, which it did. And now you're getting back your categories. Yeah.
Okay.
So good. Let's look at your server
Stop.
JS just real quick, just to make sure it's
Okay.
good. Okay. There's your get categories ID is good. Rec param. You got your equals. Yep, that's good. Cool.
Should I stop sharing? Okay.
Yep, you're all
Thank
good.
you.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So the final step then now is to actually get it to display in our categories dropdown, right? Because we went from the front end, started, hit our endpoint, hit the database, brought it back. So we've got the data on the front end, which we saw in our array here on the side. We just now need to display it um, in our dropdown. So let's go to our code. We know we have it here. And so if we look down, before we were getting our category query selector, right? Oops, I won't do that. And then we were going through the for loop with the categories array and creating those option elements, right? So we could see each one. So very similar, same idea. The difference being that we want to display from our JSON response now. So this is a bad name for this variable because it doesn't really help us out. But this is our categories array, right? So we'll update that just to make it make more sense. So instead of JSON response, let's make this our categories array. So it should match what's down here. Oh, and then we can console log categories array. Categories array. Once you get that, just do a sanity check, go back to your browser, and you should see categories array with your 5 categories in it now instead of JSON response. Give me a thumbs up when you got that. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go to our for loop. So remember this, I'll go over this again. This is just getting that actual um, element, right? The select element that we're going to put the options in. And then we're going to change the inner HTML of it. So we're going to have the top one be select category, which we're already seeing, right? That's what we got here, select category. Okay. So we're going to add these other options. So when we go through our for loop, we're going to see what's actually in each one. And so we should be able to see this by, so I have an error, categories array is not defined, which, yeah, y'all probably have, oh, I have categories array right here. Am I spelling it wrong? Categories array. Let's see what that's about. Oh, oh, okay. So I think because it's in this tries scope, I think maybe is probably the problem. It should be JSON. Let me try. Are y'all getting the same error? You seeing not defined? Okay. I'm gonna do let categories array. And then categories array. Let's see if that. Okay, yep, that worked. Okay, so yeah, since I was defining the function in this try block, that's the scope that it was in. So when it tried to access it down here in this outer scope, it couldn't access it, right? So that's the whole functional scope thing. So to fix it, I just defined the variable outside of the try block, and then I updated it within the try block. Okay. And I noticed that we did have this array hanging out, or at least I did. This category. We don't need this, so we can get rid of that.
We don't need the category
No,
function at all.
no, the category array.
See, that messes anything up.
If it worked correctly, then you should see your categories listed out one by one, like this.
Mhm.
Y'all see that? Good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, again, the reason we were getting that error in the first place is because we were defining categories array within this try block scope, and then we were trying to access it in the parent scope, so outside of that try block, and it couldn't see it. So we had to define it outside, so then we could reference it outside later. Remember, you can reference inside, like this categories, from where it's defined outside, but you can't do it the other way around, right? Okay, so now back down here. So we're running this for loop, which is console logging each one of our category items. So category array at position I. So remember, I starts at 0, and then 1, 2, 3, as we move up through the categories array, right? So that's going to give us, if we look at these 5, it's just logging each one of these individually down here. So 0, 7, whatever. 1 is the C3, 2, 5, 1, so on and so on, right? So these guys are what we want to show up here in our dropdown. So we're creating an element. So document.create element. We're creating an option element, right? We're going to set the value of the element. Currently, we're setting the value of the element to that whole object, right? So categories array at position 1. So this whole thing, which is not going to work, right? See how it says object, object? Like we can't have a drop down that's object, object. So what we need to do is figure out what we want to show here. So very likely it's going to be name, right? We want it to be transportation or entertainment or utilities or whatever. So to fix that, all we got to do is instead of just doing the whole object, we need to do just the name. So it'd be categories array at position I dot name. And so that, oh, I'm sorry, telling you backwards. This is the value of the dropdown, not the text content of it. So actually the text content is what we want to display as name. The value is what we are going to get back when that's clicked on, right? So that's going to actually be our ID because the ID is what we want later on when we need to send that to the database and find that category. Okay. So these should really be the other way around. Should be like, whoa, not like that. Which button is it? Nope. What am I doing? Where'd you go? Okay. In my mind, I'm just going to switch these just to have the text first. Because in my mind, it's like you see the text and then you would see the ID. But we're not going to see the ID within the dropdown. Okay. And then we append child. We're appending the object element to the select element so that we can actually see it. So if all is said and done, then we should see our categories like this with our transportation, utilities, all this stuff. Okay, I'll show the code again. Yeah, so we only updated these 2 lines. All right, give me a thumbs up when you're good on that.
I think I'm missing something.
Okay. You want to share?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm noticing, I think I missed everything looks good, but I think that there's something that I'm missing because
Whenever
I'm
you,
not getting that.
okay, not getting nothing. Okay, let's go look at your index.js.
So I made the changes as far as the categories array. So I did dot name,
So
text.
you're not seeing the individual categories printed though, are you?
No.
Okay, let's scroll up a little bit.
Actually.
Okay, your load categories. Uh, oh, okay. So it's the same, the scope issue. So you have your categories array defined inside that try block on line 295.
Mm.
And so if you scroll down a little bit, keep going. So this for loop on 306 is trying to access that, but it doesn't live inside that try block, right? It's outside of it. And so it can't touch that categories array in 295 because it's inside of it. So we're going to have to initialize the categories array outside. So like on 288, just put let categories array because it's outside of the try block, right?
Hmm.
And just get rid of the brackets and stuff. We're just going to initialize the variable. Yeah, just like that. And then nope, go back to code. In line 296, get rid of the const. There you go. So now we're on 288, we initialized the array, the variable, and then we're accessing it inside of the try block in 296. And then the for on 307 can access it because it was declared outside of the try block. So it's in the quote unquote like global scope of that function.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay. So now, yeah, if you go to your browser, then yeah. So you're seeing them individually down there.
Mm.
And then let's see if you do your drop down, if they're there. Yep. There you go. Cool. Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Everybody else got them shown in the drop down? Good. Okay. So that that's the whole front to back, showing them up, getting it, showing it. It's a lot of stuff, right? Like there's a lot of steps. It's a lot to keep track of. So using your console logs and like understanding the scope of where your variables are, um, that's how you're going to do it, right? It's just going to be very manual. Just, okay, what is it at this point? Okay, what's it called here? Okay, I need to know in my server, I'm going to get my param, like that stuff. Just going with the flow, understanding what each item is. Um, Everything else is going to be very similar to that, right? We're going to either pass a body that's got some stuff in it, or we're going to pass an ID. We're going to hit the database, get exactly what we need, display it on the front end. It's all going to be very similar. So we're going to get practice with that. But for now, I think a break is definitely called for. Um, so yeah, let's do about 20 minutes. And then when we come back, we will work on the next little piece. Cool. All right. See y'all at about 12:25-ish. All right, ready? Okay. We got new windows and doors in my house, and it's keeps the weather like it's amazing. But it's 68 in my house, and my wife's outside, and it's like 74, and I'm in here freezing. And the air's not on. It just keeps it. So that's why I'm all, decked out in my winter gear. But it's good. It's good stuff. Okay. Any questions about all the fun stuff we went over? Okay. Again, it is a lot of steps, a lot of following the data, getting it where you need it to be. But that's the majority of what we'll do is move data around and do other stuff like that. So, I think the next route that we'll work on will be the get expenses route, which will be very similar to the one we just did. Um, so yeah, we'll get the expenses. Let's go to our Supabase real quick and uh, we're gonna do the same similar kind of thing we did with categories. We're gonna make some of the expenses belong to user two instead of user one. So I'll just do it down here. Do a select all from categories or from expenses, sorry. Select all star from expenses. So if I run that right now, all of my expenses belong to user ID one. So we'll do an update, expenses, and set user underscore ID equal to 2, where, and let's just, so just pick two, any two you want, and just grab the ID, excuse me, of one of them and say where ID equals, and then put the ID in the string there. So just run that for one of them, and then run your select again. And that should be fine. We'll just do one. We'll just take one away so you can just kind of see the difference. So yeah, so again, this ID will be whichever expense you choose to give to user two. Remember, your ID will not be the same as my ID. It'll be specific to your database. Let me know when you get that done.
So we're just doing it for one, we're making the user ID a number two for one of these items. Is that right?
Yeah, just one expense. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So when you have that done, you could do a select all from expenses where user underscore ID equals 2, and you should just see that one that you changed. So as long as you see that, then we're good on that part.
I'm getting a syntax error for the ID that I chose.
Okay, let's give it a share. Let's check it out.
So my theory is maybe I'm mixing up the IDs for user ID and expense ID.
Maybe just do the select all from expenses. Let's see what we're looking at. Because it's definitely a very long ID. Um,
Let me try. I'll just try this one.
oh, I bet you grabbed category ID.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Oh, you didn't highlight it. There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's got two at the bottom there.
Okay. Yeah. All
Cool.
right. Got it.
All right, everybody good? Cool. All right. So now basically same as we did before. So we're just going to load our expenses, right? So let me close up those guys. All right. So we've already got a load expenses function. Um, we've already got our user, right? Because we're doing this set and get our local storage. So we don't need to do that again. We've already got our user. So I'm going to uncomment this load expenses function. And this is in our DOM content loader, right? I'm going to jump to that. So on mine, if I hit Control or Command and hover over it, it'll give it a little line, and then I can just click it and it'll jump me to the function. So it's a super handy way to kind of navigate around. So if you can figure that out. Okay. So for this, what we originally were doing is remember we were storing our expenses in local storage. So all we had to do was just grab them from local storage and then um, they would be loaded so we could use them. And we were storing them in that global expenses array, right? We'll keep that array so that way we can have it to use later on down the list. But instead of going in local storage, we need to get to our database to get those expenses. So again, very similar to what we have already done. So I'm just going to get our load categories function, and I'm just going to grab basically everything that's in here, which we're going to get rid of a lot of it, but we'll just grab it for now and put it in my load expenses function right here. So I'm going to get rid of the get item part. I'm just going to get rid of everything in here. We'll just start fresh load expenses function. I'm going to paste all that. All right. I'm going to change this from categories array to expenses array. Expenses array. Okay, and then we'll fix it as we go down, but let's just take this as it goes. So this is going to be a GET request to get all expenses from the database that belong to this user, right? And so the endpoint we're going to hit, we need to hit our expenses endpoint, not our categories endpoint. And we are going to pass the user ID the same way so that we can get just the ones for this user. Okay, so let's go find this endpoint in our server. So the endpoint again is our expenses GET request. So close some of these guys up. So if we go expenses, okay, so right here, this is our get all expenses endpoint, right? So we need to add the ID to it like we did with categories. So we're going to do /:ID. Okay. And then we need to use that in our query, just like we did with the equals. So we're going to add a dot equals or dot EQ. And this is going to be the same thing, user ID, user underscore ID, and then rec dot, nope, not that. Rec dot params dot ID. So pretty much identical to what we did with categories. Okay, so if this is successful, then we should get back our categories. So I'm going to go back to our JavaScript and I'm going to change categories array here to expenses array, which is where we're going to save it at expenses array. And then we're going to log that. Oh, and then I'm going to console log expenses array. Okay. I'm going to comment out this. Well, I won't hurt anything. It'll be fine. Let's leave that for now. But this is where we'll stop so we can at least get see if we're getting our expenses on the front end. Okay, I'm gonna make sure my server's still running, which it is, and give myself a little refresh here and see that I have nothing. I'm gonna rerun my 5 server on my HTML. Just make sure we're good. Okay. All right, so let's see. All right, so load expenses is being called on load. But why is it not logging anything? Let's see. So our category should still be loading. But mine is doing nothing. Let me kill my server and start over. Is y'all's pages doing nothing or is y'all's working? Like, are you still seeing your categories and everything? Nothing?
I was looking in the wrong thing from the get-go, so I'm kind of lost with this.
Okay. Is your page still showing categories though?
Let's see.
Mine's not.
It's not? Okay. So it must be something I recently broke, which is good. Let's see what it says. It says await is only valid in async functions. Okay, so I'm again not doing my await properly. So if I go to my load expenses function, yep, that would be why. So on my load expenses function, I'm missing the async again here. So that was stopping everything from happening. So we have our awaits, our await fetch, and our await response. Now I have my async. So now, there we go. Now my stuff is back. My category is not back. Why are my categories back? Load expense. I know that's not okay. Oh yeah, yeah. That makes sense. So um in the load expenses function, I was gonna comment out this bottom part, but I didn't, but I need to. Because it's overriding the categories that I was putting in from the load categories array. So comment that out. And I'll go back over all of this. So now we should be good. So there we go. Got my categories, got my loading, good to go. Got a 404. That's okay. Okay, so from the top, what we're doing, super similar to categories. We are just in our DOM content loaded, so in our index.js, right? Our front end. We uncommented, or if you didn't have it already, this load expenses function. Okay, so that's in our DOM content loader, right? Load expenses. Okay. Then I'm going to jump to that um, function. So either if you can, if your control or command like gets you a little blue line, then you can click on that and it'll jump you to the function. If not, just give it a double click and do Control or Command F and just go to it on your little find screen so you can find it. But yeah, so we'll go to that function and then I just replaced everything in it with the same stuff from our load categories function and then just adjusted. I made the categories array to expenses array, changed our route to expenses instead of categories. And then we're getting back expenses array and then console logging that.
I seem to not, I don't have load expenses for some reason. When I do a search, I've only got it in the one spot.
Okay. Yeah, just grab your load categories function, like the whole thing, and just paste it like above. And then we'll just change the name of it to load expenses. You want to share, we can walk through that.
Okay. Okay. Is it this async function?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so grab 259 all the way down. Keep going. Keep going all the way, yep, to 289.
Oh, okay. 289.
Yep. Yeah, so copy that.
Okay.
And then just right below it, you can put that other one.
Okay.
Yeah, just paste it there. There you go. And then change the name of it. So go up. Yeah, just change the name on 291 to load expenses. Okay. And then 295, make it expenses array instead of categories array. And then in your endpoint on 299, change it from categories to expenses. Yep. Yep. And then on 303, change it to expenses array. And then same in the console log below it. There you go. You have two S's. Or no, you're right. You're right.
Okay.
My eyes are seeing two S's. Okay. And keep going down
Okay.
and comment out 310 to the end of the for loop there.
Okay. 310 till where?
Yeah. I'll show you a better way. Get rid of the
Okay.
comments you just put and just highlight 310 to the end of the for loop.
Okay.
Yep. All the way to 320. Yep. And then just do command question mark. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. Jump to your server code and find the expenses get. So app.get with expenses. That's your put.
Oh, here it is. App.get. Okay.
So that's your categories though.
Oh, categories. Oops.
Yep.
Okay.
So probably up one more. There you
Here
go.
we go.
Yep. So
Okay.
add the /:ID to the end of expenses. This is so we can pass that parameter in there, right?
Okay.
And then on that blank line on 39, do a .eq, so equals eq, yep. And then parentheses, and then do quote user underscore ID. And then outside of that, yep, do comma. And then rec.params.id. There you go. And then you can move that EQ back a line, or back a space, I should say.
Okay.
So it'll line up with the from.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. So that should then query your database and only bring back the ones that are equal to the user ID thing, the user ID column. It should be good.
Oops. Wrong thing. Am I highlighting this or am I doing this on my on that?
That's what your code's doing. So you don't have to be in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can go back to the browser.
Okay.
And do a refresh. Let's see what we got. Okay, so I think your port should be fine. Let's go to your server code real quick. Let's see. Actually, I wonder if mine is also. Oh, I have the same errors as you. Okay, yeah, so you're good.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. No worries.
Lord. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of pieces. Okay. All right. So as long as everyone is you're still getting your categories, so you should see those. And then you are getting your expenses array, which mine has 9 in it, and they are, I'm not logging my user ID. Or why am I seeing? Oh, I know. Okay, so in our server code, we are actually specifying the columns that we want to get back. And we didn't include user ID in this because we didn't have it at the time. So we can go here just under date and just put in user underscore ID, comma. That way we can get back that one as well. We could have just said star for all, but because we were doing the join, I think we'll list them all out. So once you have that, then you should see in your expenses array, you'll have user ID now as well. And so they should all be 1 because that's what we got back is user ID 1.
So I'm not getting the expense array.
Okay, we'll look at it. So let me make sure I got all my user ID 1s. Yep. Okay, go ahead and share. Oh, look at line 49.
Okay.
What's wrong with it?
Is it the quote?
Yep. What's it not liking? Index.js 334.
334. It's not like in what I commented out.
Oh, yeah, go to your code real quick, your index.js code. There you go. So to do a multi-line comment, it's uh your so it's slash star star. So you're almost there. You just had to put the star star. But if you want, just yeah, highlight the whole thing.
Do the question mark.
But don't not 345 because that's the end of your function. You need that guy. Yeah, there you go.
So it's control question mark.
Yep. Or command, depending on your keyboard setup. Oh, that just killed it. There you go. But if you did want to do a multi-line like you were doing, it's just slash star star. And then on the very end it's star star slash. So kind of the opposite of it. But this works too. There you go. We'll get categories. Are you getting the expenses array though? I'm not seeing. Are you console logging the expenses array?
I'm ready to see it.
Oh, so 327 you still have as categories array. There you go.
I'm still not seeing it.
Log in it. Okay, let's go back to index.js. Let's see. So you have it there. Expenses array. Response.json. Okay, let's look at your server code. Okay, you don't have you're not using the ID. So on 32, you're not bringing it in. Oh, wait. Oh, I see. You were doing it on 49, I think. Yeah, so 49, we were using that to get back just the utilities one, just as an example. But 32 is the one you're going to be hitting. So actually, this is a good point because you gave the ID to it. It skipped this first one because 49 had the ID. Um, if they both have the ID, then it's going to try to hit the first one as the one as well, it's going to try to hit the first one, and it won't go to the second one. So that's a good thing to know. So yeah, add that there.
Do I need to get rid of this one then?
No, it well, no, it's fine for now. We probably won't use it, but it's okay. You still have more to do though. You're not done. So now that you're getting the ID, you actually have to use the ID. So on 39, well, actually on 38, hit enter there. And then let's get the user ID. Yep, just like that. And then on 40, hit enter. And no, sorry, go back. Go down to 40 on the very end of it. There you go, hit enter. And then this will be our where clause. So just like it says there, .eq, user ID, rec params. Yep. So now you're getting all the columns and you're saying, I only want the ones back that match this user ID that I'm giving you.
Okay.
So I assume your server is still running. I can't see it.
It is.
Okay. Still not logging the expenses though. Okay, let's go look at the JS code again. Excuse me, the index.js. Doesn't want expenses. Console log your response. So like on 324, just before the if. So just add your line. Yeah, console log response, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, so it's not even getting to response. Are you calling that function in your DOM loader? So go, I think it's at the bottom, or it was at the bottom. Oh, it's not at the bottom. Okay, that's probably the issue. So how we had to move, did we move expenses? Yeah, keep scrolling up. Uh, okay, go down. Keep going. Load expenses. Okay, where? Yeah, where's your DOM content loader?
I think it's at the top.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right, because we had to move yours. Okay. Yeah, so you're not loading expenses here. You're just doing loaded
Okay.
categories.
So
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
expenses.
Cool. So now we should be seeing some action. Um, open up that response object. So right above there, where it says response.
Yeah.
Keep going up a little bit right there. Down a little bit. Where it says response. There you nope. Up a little bit. There you go. Click that guy. So just if you were wondering what the response object actually looks like, this is what it looks like. So response.ok here is false, meaning that it didn't work.
Mhm.
Response.status would be 500, so there's a server error. And then response.status text would be internal server error, right? So this is what you get in response when there's an issue. Or, well, you get this regardless. If there's an issue or not, this is what the response object would look like. So there's a problem in the server. So let's go back to the server.
Is it have anything to do with the course?
It could, but it
That's what
shouldn't because we already had that fixed. I know it says type cores, but I don't know. Yeah, let's go back to their server code. And just so we can check the cores, just scroll to the top and make sure you've still got your stuff in there. So yeah, you've got your require uh, cores and then your app.use cores. So yeah, your cores should be good. Okay, so let's go back down to your expenses on 32. So you're getting expenses. Scroll down a little bit. User ID. Let me look at my code real quick. Oh, okay, it's the category thing. So line 40, you have category instead of categories, just like the ones you had before. Yeah. Okay, now give it a go. There we go.
Okay.
Sweet, now you're cooking. All right.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So now, so we got our category still showing. We should have our expenses in our um, console showing. And so now what we want to do is actually display them right in our table there. I did want to look at why I'm getting a 404 here though. Oh, I think I know why. Let me see. Let me see. 318. Oh, that's from my course thing. So since we changed that endpoint to expenses slash ID, now it can't find this endpoint because it doesn't exist, right? So we can really just get rid of this CORS error function because it's just going to cause us errors at this point. So just delete the function itself and then where we're calling it in the DOM content loader. So we don't have errors we don't care about. But it's a good lesson anyway. So yeah, so once you got that, then you shouldn't have any errors anymore in your console. Should be good. Okay. All right, so let's go back to here. So now in our load expenses function, too many functions. Okay, so we're getting back. We know that our expenses array is now has our expenses in it. And now we want to actually display those. So how we were doing it before is we had this render function right here, our render expenses function. And so this was what was actually creating that table and all of that stuff, right? And it's using this global expenses array that we created, which is what we still have. This is still what we're using. So it should be there. We should just have to call our render and it should display everything. So I believe, yeah. So down here in our DOM content loaded, we just have it commented out, this render expenses. So if we uncomment this, it potentially could just work. Probably won't, but it could. So I'm just going to uncomment that guy and then just see what happens. Nothing. I love it. But that's okay. You can debug it. Okay, so everybody got it commented, uncommented? Good there? Okay. All right, so let's go to that function and let's see what's going on. So we should still have this expense table body in our HTML. We can look for it real quick in our table. I'm just gonna find, so that was T body, expense T body. Okay, so it's right here. So it's still there, right? So that's good. And it says no expenses yet, which is what we're seeing here. So that's still there. Should be good there. So then if we go back to our JS, we'll just start walking through this and see. Okay, so it says expenses.length equals 0, then we should see a console log of no more expenses. We know that's not the case, right? Because we have plenty of expenses in there, our expenses array. Although we do see it right here, no more expenses. So let's see. Let's console log in our render expenses, just at the top of it, console.log expenses, and just say expenses in render expenses, just so we can make sure we are seeing our expenses inside this function. Okay, so once we do that, then I can refresh and we can see. Okay, so expenses is an empty array for some reason. Okay, so it's not being populated, at least when this initially gets called. So let's see. So our load expenses is async. We're awaiting it. So I think what the issue is that the render expenses function is being called before load expenses finishes because this is not an async function, so it's just going, right? So this one we get here and then we're waiting for the stuff to come back, but this is firing before this gets done. This is what's called a race condition. And so basically it's like there's a race happening and this one is winning, but this one needs to do something based on what this one does, right? So there's a couple ways we can handle it. The I don't know if it's the best way, but the one way is we could take this render expenses and actually put it inside our load expenses function and make it not be triggered until we know we have the expenses, right? So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it from here, just going to cut it out of my DOM content, go back to my load expenses, and I'm going to say that, let's see, so after our expenses, after we get our expenses array, then I'm going to call, I'm going to do it outside of my try catch. Then I'm going to call this function, and I'm going to get rid of this stuff. We don't need this here. And then we'll see if that works. So this should make sure that expenses exist before this function is ever called, right? Or at least that we attempted to get expenses. So let's go here. Let's see if that works. No. Okay, so expenses is still, oh, but that's correct because we logged it up here. Where do we log it at? Okay, expenses array, 88. Let's see. So that's expenses array. All right. And then that gets triggered there. So it's still doing the same thing, even though we put it inside the function. So what we could do, let's see. I don't want to pass that in. Basically, we need this function to wait, right, for the other one. Let's see what the best way to do that is. Well, okay, the cheater way that won't always work is we could have a timeout, right? So if we put, I'm just gonna control Z this stuff, put it back here. If we add another timeout, then we could do, I'm gonna do like a 5-second timeout just for fun. So now it's gonna load the expenses and then we're gonna wait for 5 seconds before we try to render anything. Okay. This might not work, I don't know, but we're gonna try it and see. Because the whole problem is that this function is firing before we are getting the expenses back from the database. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, did not work. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so oh, we wait for that one. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Um, so let's see. Like there's a couple different ways to do this, so I'm trying to figure out the best, uh, easiest one to explain. Because we can't just go down here and say await, right? Like we can't say await this guy because this is not an asynchronous function. Um, but we could potentially do kind of like we were going to do here, um, in our load expenses because it is an async function. We could potentially say await, um, render expenses here. I'm not sure that will work, but we can give it a shot. Still getting no expenses. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Okay. So there's a let's see. Wait. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was being dumb. Um, it's because it's scope. That's the problem. Because we have our expenses array within this functional scope. So whenever render express tries to access it, it can't. Same thing, same issue we had before. I was just thinking too hard on it. Um, so we need to make our expenses array, which is what we're using here. That's the whole reason we had this thing. So I don't need to redeclare expenses array here. I need to just use the array we already had, which is just, we're just calling it expenses. So now this should have access to this because now it's global. Let's see if I fixed it. Okay, so we are getting expenses back. And it is expenses. Oh, and I commented this out. So I got to uncomment this. Here we go. That should work. Well, it's not working for me. So expenses. Let's see. So we're getting, let me console log my response. See what's going on here. Response object and load expenses. Okay. All right, here's my response. It's good. Getting it back. We got our expenses here, but we're still not hitting. Getting those expenses. Yeah, that's there. Okay. So are we not hitting render expenses at all? Because it's not going there. Let's see. No, okay, we're hitting it right there. So we are hitting it before it's getting there. I wonder why it's doing that. Let's see. Okay. How can you await? Okay. Okay, this is a new fun thing. So it is doing the original thing that I said. This is being triggered while these are still doing their part, like still awaiting their thing. So we do need to await these guys so that they can be waited for before this is triggered. However, this callback then needs to be an async function. Okay. So if we give this an async and give these two an await, then potentially this might work. We'll see. We're not going to await this because this is not an async function. So let's see if that works. Okay, and that worked for us. All right, that was really annoying. So again, the reason is like this. So we're going to go through here, right? We're going to call these two functions. They're going to fire. Cool. We're going to go here and say, okay, we're going to call this, but we got to wait because it's going to go hit the database. So it's going to say, okay, cool. We're going to wait. Same thing here. We're going to wait. But while these are waiting, this guy goes ahead and fires. Okay. Now that this is now an async function, we can then await them in here, which then allows these to return their stuff before we actually get to this guy. Okay. Um, I wonder. Actually, I think it might have been better if we would have done. Let me see. Okay, I'm just experimenting here for a second. Just want to try something here. We take in expenses. We get rid of this one. Da, da, da. And then we have expenses, and then we call under expenses, and we pass expenses here, and then we get rid of it here. Let's see if that works. Expenses undefined. And get total, that's fine. I don't care what you get total. Okay. Okay, so this to me makes way more sense. The way we just did it is fine, but we only really need to know our expenses after we got them, right? After we loaded them. We didn't really need it to be global, um, because the render itself just needs to take in the expenses. Okay. So what I did was instead of having it down here, I commented it out and I put it in the load expenses function, and just passed expenses to it. So this is not global anymore. I'm only defining it right here, the expenses. And then I'm just passing it directly to the render expenses. So this won't be called until we actually have expenses. When the other way, it could have been called, or we would have to do the await to stop it, right? Um, so this makes more sense to me. That was probably very confusing. I'm very sorry. Um, does any of that make sense? No is definitely an acceptable answer. Laura's face is like, "No, what?"
I think overall it makes sense, but I'm a little lost in my code right now.
Yeah, yeah, I'll walk you through it and get it right. Um, but yeah, so just the big idea is that the the load function we have to wait, right? Because it's going to the database, but the render expense one was not waiting. And so as this one went off to the database to get its stuff, render was like, here I go, I'm going, but I don't have anything to render because I don't have it back yet. And so by putting it inside of the load expenses function, we're now saying you will not render until you have these expenses, right? Till you have something to show. Because originally in the DOM content, it was like, I'm just going, like as soon as I'm ready, I'm going. It didn't care about the load expenses, but now it does. So to fix it, what we're going to do is at the very top, the expenses array that we had globally, we're just going to kill that. Okay. I just commented it out, but you can kill it. And this is really smarter anyway, because having your expenses in the global state means anything could touch them. And we only want the specific functions that need them to be able to touch them. So yeah, so comment this guy or kill this guy. And then in our load expenses function, where we have expenses on my line 86, I don't know what your line would be. We're going to make that a const now instead of nothing. So when we're getting the await response.json back. Okay. So once you have that, then we're just going to call our render expenses function here, and we're going to pass expenses to it.
So make expense array a const
Yep.
and shouldn't be it should be inside the try
Yes.
function. Okay. There it is. Mhm.
Once you get that, there's one final step. Bless you. So then in your render expenses function, you're just going to bring in that parameter, that expenses parameter. Because before we were just using globally, so we didn't need to bring it in. Now we're actually passing it to the function. So you just put expenses right there. Okay, and if all that worked, then you should see your expenses in your table. And if not, we can walk it through, no worries.
Mine's not working.
All right, let's share it up. Let's check it out. Oh, okay. So 327, you have expenses array, but that doesn't exist. There you go. Okay, and you got expenses not defined on 97. 97. Yeah, so this is in our add expense. Oh, yeah, it's outside of, yeah, just kill that console log. So that console log was in the global scope, just trying to find that global expenses. That's gone
Okay.
now. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
probably another similar one. 168. So in our, okay, you're just not passing, you don't have the expenses parameter there. So just in your parentheses, put expenses on 164. Because now that we're passing it in, we've got to accept it, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And just a note to remember that the parameter you're taking doesn't have to be the same name as what you're of the argument you're passing, but sometimes it's easier to do that, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
168.15.
So can't read the length of the property. Expenses. Go to where you're calling render expenses. To try to do, yeah, you can do that. That'll work. Okay, so yeah, and yeah, get rid of it right there because we're not going to call it there anymore since we're doing it in load expenses.
Mhm.
Yep, so you're passing it there just how you need to, so that's good. That should, and this is, what function is this?
feel like my code's kind of evolved to be a little different as
Yeah,
far as
that's
the
okay.
placement of stuff.
It's oh, I think it's where we're adding. Yeah, scroll up a little bit. Keep going. Okay. Oh, that's our submit. Okay. So we're gonna have to, for now, just comment out the render expenses in there. I don't know what my on submit does. Oh,
Okay, 242. We caught reference error.
um, oh, okay. So yeah, it's trying to log that global expenses again. So yeah, just delete that. Okay. And then yeah, I had to comment out my get total just because it kept trying to get that one as well.
Okay, so 207.
So yeah, just comment out that whole function. And then see wherever else it's called at to get total.
194 or 6.
Yeah, just comment out that line and the line below it. Yeah. There we go. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Laura and Elizabeth, are y'all good?
As of 1 second ago, I think I'm good. Yeah, I was sort of trying to follow along, and I think so. Yeah,
Okay. Is it showing your expenses on your page?
it is. Yeah, I was trying to fix my errors, and I had a bunch of weird junk in there. It was the
Good.
same thing as Wayne, kind of just the same sort of stuff.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, that was a good lesson in debugging and frustration that comes with the territory. Cool. So let's see. So we got our categories, we got our expenses. We're getting it for the user that we want to get it for. So that's really good. Um, let's see, what else do we do? So if we look at that plan.md that I had, so we're reading all expenses, we are reading all categories. Um, okay, so let's see. So we got about 20 minutes. Let's see if we can add a category. Get my code over here. All right. Um, okay. So yeah, so on load, we're doing good, right? We're getting the data we need so that the user can actually start using the thing. So that's good. Now, obviously, if they have a blank list, like it's their first time logging in, first thing they're going to want to do is not add a category, sorry, add an expense. Because I imagine, I'm just thinking of this as a product, we would have like pre-populated categories already in there, um, like default categories that they could use, you know. So they wouldn't probably create a category first, they'd probably create an expense. We will attempt to add the functionality to create a category next week, but that'll be a little bit deeper. So for now, let's see if we can get a category or an expense added. That'll be our goal. So let's look at what we got so far. So right now we know that um, when we come in here and we want to add an expense, we're going to fill out this form, click the add expense button. The idea is that it's going to send that data to the server. The server is going to update the database, it's going to create a new record in the database, and then it's going to come back and say, hey, this was created, and then here's your updated array, and then display that array, right? Like that's kind of the flow that we're thinking. So if we are going to create something, what method are we using? What HTTP method?
Post.
Post. Perfect. Yep. So we need to do a post. So let's see. Okay. So we have, I'm going to close up some of these things I don't need to see right now. I don't need to see. Oh, actually, I didn't need to see my submit. Yes. Close you up. Close you. Close you. Okay. Okay. So remember that this event listener, the submit, the form dot event add event listener submit, that's what happens when we submit our form, right? So let's see what this is doing right now. Okay, so if you remember, we have to add this event.prevent default because otherwise it's going to refresh the whole page, and that's just a bad user experience that we don't need. So we're not going to do that. We are going to get the data that's actually in the form. Remember, we're using the query selectors to go to the different form sections and actually get that in, get the value from it so that we can then display it or do whatever we need to do with it. So I'm going to do a form. Let's see, hold on. It's going to edit. Okay, this may break something, I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and just fill the form out so we can kind of see what we're looking at. Also, I'm going to get rid of some of these console logs because it's getting pretty full over there. So I'm just going to Control F and console log and just get rid of some of the other ones that I have. Like this guy, I don't need. Yeah, we know our load expenses are working, so I'm just getting rid of them out of there because I don't need those. Leave your console errors because if you have errors in the future, you'll want to see those. Leave that guy. What else do I got? Validate's fine. Add's fine. It's fine. Really, I just want the onload ones just to be gone. So I'm not seeing those. So render expense, we'll get rid of that guy. We may bring that guy back later. We'll see. Okay, that should get rid of most of them. So, let's see, 291. Let's get rid of 291. Okay. Okay, that's not bad. All right, so now as I fill this out, so we'll say shoes, $100 and other. Okay, if I hit add expense, I should see my console log for my expense, which I do right here. Here's my description, my amount, and my category ID. So that is what we're seeing in our form submit. I'm going to close all these back up here. Okay, so in our form submit, we're getting description, amount, category, right? Now, you may have noticed that we got category ID instead of the category name, like other or school supplies or whatever. That was because earlier when we loaded our categories, if you remember, for our elements, we had the text content as the name and the value as the ID. Okay. So what gets sent back in the form when we said dot value is the ID, not the name, which is perfect for what we need because we want to compare that ID to the category on the back end, right? Like in our database, instead of just having the name. basically IDs are what's the word? They're just better because they like anybody could, you can misspell the category name. It could be some just funky thing. The ID is you can compare that to whatever's in your database. And potentially if your data gets like somebody misspells something in the database, which just happened to me the other day, the ID is going to remain the same and you can go in and just fix the name, right? We had a test ID or a test name in one of the things I was working on, and somebody put an extra space in the front of it, and it caused an error in the production site. So I had to go into the database and just get rid of that space, but the ID remained the same. So I didn't have to like create a whole new thing. So all that to say, if you can use an ID, like that's much more preferred than using a name, like a name or a string or something like that. Cool. Okay. All right, cool. So that is why we're seeing, again, that's why we're seeing this ID here for category instead of other, right? So if we choose another one, like if I choose utility, you'll see right here, category, it's a different ID. We're not seeing utility. Okay. With me on that? Cool. All right, cool. Okay, so now let's go back to our code. So we can see that after we're getting all our values, then we have this editing ID, which this was for whenever we click edit in our form over here. When we click this edit button, remember that's how we're updating our expenses. So we're not doing that. So our editing ID is going to be null. So we don't need to get into here in any of that. We are just going to add it. So we're going to be in our else. So the first thing that happens in our else is we're actually going to validate our expense. So if we look at that, then we're making sure that our description exists and that there's no blank spaces. Remember, trim takes all the spaces off the front and the back. And so if you take off all the space in the front and the back and there's nothing left, then you know that they didn't type anything in. It's just an empty string. So we're checking that. Same thing for amount, except for we're checking to make sure it's a number greater than or equal to 0. So we don't want any negative numbers. And then category, we're currently just checking if it exists. Since it's an ID, that's fine. They're not typing anything in. It's just a select. So really just as long as it's there, that's fine. And then if that's all good, then we're returning valid. So if we go back to here, and then we're console logging that. So we are seeing here is where we're console logging it. So it's valid, right? So we validated it, made sure all our stuff was correct. This is also where you could do some like SQL injection protection stuffs, which is a little bit deeper, but forms are like the most vulnerable area of your site or of your application. So people can come in here and try to put like malicious stuff. So there are other things you can put in your validation to make sure that it's clean. Again, it's a little bit too deep right now, but just to know, like that's an area of vulnerability. Okay, so we checked that out. It was good. So as long as it's good, then we're going to add the expense. So let's go down to that function. And we're console logging the incoming expense, which we'll see here. This is our incoming expense. So we have description, amount, and then our category. And then we have a nice error waiting for us. So if we look at this, so this is checking the last ID and then it's increasing it. So this was back when we were using ID 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? Because we wanted to make sure none of our IDs overlapped. Because we're now using unique keys, not keys, unique IDs for each expense, we don't need this anymore. Because it's going to create its own ID in the database when it gets inserted. So we can kill this. So we don't need this line, and we don't even need to have an ID because it's going to create it itself. So we can get rid of Let's see. And then also, if we remember our category, we go to our here. So let me select an expense. So our category column, we changed to category ID instead of category, right? So that works out well because now we're getting category ID instead of a category. So we can update this instead of category, we can make it category ID. Okay. Then the rest of that all matches, so we're all good. Okay, and we'll go back through this. I'll just get through the flow of it, and then we can go through it. It may be Wednesday, but cool. So we're making that object, right? This is the object that we want to insert in our database. So we log it, and then we are gonna push it to our expenses array, which does not exist anymore because this was the global expenses array. Since we're not doing it globally anymore, we're probably just gonna pass the actual expenses, the actual expense to our save expenses maybe. Hold on, let me see what this does. Okay, so this is where we need new code, right? Because we're not putting it in local storage anymore. So we can go back to our add expense here. Let's see. So since we're adding the expense, okay. So the way we're doing it before is we have an array just sitting on our front end, right, in our local storage, and we're just updating that. Instead of doing that, now what we're doing is we're going to pass this individual expense that we want to create all the way back to our database, create it, and then we're going to get a fresh select from our database of expenses and then show that on the front end. So that's the flow is going to go like that instead of just doing it right on the front end. So what we can do is for this add expense array, we can do our route right here. Okay, so we don't really need this save expenses anymore. So we're going to get rid of these two, and we are going to go ahead and have our route to our back end so we can actually create this. So if I just cheat a little bit and go to our node categories, I'm going to borrow this try catch block from here. And I'm going to go to here. Get rid of that guy. Paste that there. So this is going to be a post request to insert, or actually, it is an insert, but to create expense record in database. Okay. Okay. So since this is a post, then we need our URL without the ID. So we're going to say expenses. And then we need our, is that how I do it? Let me see. I'm going to put my deal. Just a second. Oh, that's not what I want. There we go. Okay. I had to give my right syntax. Okay. So for our post request, we have to tell it the method, right, that we want. So method is going to be post. And then headers, right? When they're headers, which is content type application slash JSON. And then in our, oh, I didn't put my guy there. Okay. And then we need our body, right? Body. And we got to stringify it, remember, because we can't send over just an object. And then we're going to pass our expense is going to be our for passing. So, yeah, so we're going to stringify this body, right, that we're going to pass through so we can then access this on our backend in our server. Let's see. And then we don't need this right now. Just do this. All right, we're running close on time, so I'm not going to get too much deeper into this right now. But yeah, so the idea is we're getting that expense from the form. We're going to pass it in a post request to our server. Our server is going to do an insert statement into our database. And then we're going to we're going to do a select to get back all of our expenses and then replace what we have on the front end with the new list to show the updated expenses. That's what we're going to do. We'll finish up the server side and the database side on Wednesday. This is a lot of stuff, right? Like a lot to get through, and it's all very similar, but it's all has its own little things. And as you can tell by my debugging today, like it's not always just as easy as just typing it in. There's sometimes you got to think about the flow and how it goes and all that stuff. So, what questions do y'all have? Nothing?
Actually, could you post like updated files?
Yep.
Because I feel like my scripts or my code is like not in order.
Gotcha.
It's
Okay,
making
yeah.
it harder for me to follow along.
Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, I'll post the most updated stuff. Cool. I probably won't do a lot of homework. Maybe a little bit on authentication, which hopefully we can get to next Saturday. If not, though, it's really not a big deal. Like this is the core stuff that's going to matter. Authentication is just basically using a new library or a new package. And I'm sure that Derek will go over that in either module 4 or 5. But this is the core. This is what a server does. This is how it talks to the database. Like this is stuff that everything you do going forward, it's just going to build upon this. As we've said the whole time, right? Everything we're doing is just building upon what's happening before. Yeah. Nothing else? Probably your head's hurt after today. I get it. So yeah, take some time, enjoy the weather. If you want to come back in and try your hand at it, you can. But yeah, Wednesday we'll definitely finish this route and see how much time we got to get into other things. And then Saturday we'll get the rest of it done. And then you'll be done with me. So, sad. Okay. No other questions?
Great class, by the way.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was a struggle a little bit, but in a good way. It's good debugging.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what makes it really good right
Yeah.
there.
All right. If you got nothing else, go outside.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
See you Wednesday.
Thank you.
Later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.